Jonas. Looks like we're recording some random bush. Not the first random bush you've ever been here, is it, Jordan?
My mum watches this.
She'll not. The sound quality might not be great as well, because I know we always make these promises, and I've got
to take full.
Yeah, Jordan lost to a really good mic.
Yeah, I've got to take full responsibility for this, and the mic that I have got as a
It's
replacement is faulty.
So we're waiting on another new mic.
Yeah.
So sadly, it's just the phone mic on this one.
So please don't turn off there. Do continue to watch to see if you like the audio, but we do try our best. If you like, we'll have to do one, because the last one we did, Mitchell after.
Yeah, Mitchell.
After Mitchell, and now we're doing sort
Howe
of
after Mitchell.
Howe after Mitchell, which, yeah, it depends what way you want to look at that today. I think Eddie, if you read Eddie Howe's comments, I don't think he wants to continue to talk about it. I think he just wants to get on with his job. I mean, I've wrote some notes here because I'm not good at remembering things, so I've got some notes to try and be a real pro here.
You are a pro.
Just with bullet points. So obviously the big thing that came from Mitchell's interview was the fit for purpose question marks over the recruitment that Newcastle have done in the last three and a half years, which was very strong. He spoke about on the Shots TV video. Obviously we've got the thoughts on that, I'm sure we'll come on to them in this video as well. But I don't know if you can say Eddie Howe hit back, but he said that he's very proud of the signs that he's made, and everyone should hold their heads very high in response to that. So as I say, I think you could maybe say he's hit back there, but in terms of the general questions and what was Eddie Howe was asked about the Paul Mitchell, you didn't really want to go there and comment on it, because at the moment it seems to be that two men just seem to be sort of not criticise each other, but almost having a conversation with each other via the media.
Yeah, it's not good. It isn't good.
Which is bizarre in many ways, because Eddie Howe has just told us in there that he hasn't spoke to Paul Mitchell since that interview, which was 10 days ago now.
It feels like we'd speak to Paul Mitchell tomorrow and he'd say, "Oh, speak to him every day."
Well, he said that it was during the transfer window, and Eddie Howe was saying, "No, I'm a step removed from transfers," and then Paul Mitchell comes out in the media and says, "No, I speak to him every night, more than my wife."
There's maybe the semantics, isn't it? Maybe they were speaking every day, and Eddie was just letting everybody know that he's not the man doing the deals. It's almost like the way that everybody perceived Paul Mitchell to be distanced himself from a disastrous summer. Eddie Howe was doing very much the same thing. I'm disappointed by the whole thing. I can't lie. I'm not happy about what's going on here.
There's a lot of people fed up of the Paul Mitchell Eddie Howe, and you can tell by probably certain tweets where it's directed at the Paul Mitchell and Eddie Howe saga, if you like, if that's what you want to call it. And there's a lot of negative responses. People are sick of it, and I understand that. I think
it's like people don't want to hear what you've got to say about it, or what anyone's got to say about it. I think there are people out there who do, but the reaction on social media is largely, if you ever mention anything about it now, it becomes quite toxic, and accusations flying around. And look, we're just two lads who always give your honest opinion. You know that in the Geordie journos, and we speak from the heart. We speak from the head sometimes.
Sometimes.
But we are reasonably well informed. We'll never ever profess to be the most well informed journalists on the North East beat, because there are some fantastic operators, most of whom were in the press conference with you there. But we do know quite a lot. We do hear things, some of which we can say, some of which we can't. For example, there's been little things that you've heard this week that have come to pass that actually were true. We'll not go into them because you can't, but we do hear things, and we do try and give you everything that we possibly can on here, and there is real tension at the football club, and whether you want to believe it or don't, there is real tension. My stance now is I'm done with it. I know it's a problem, but going over this problem again and again and again isn't going to solve it. That's basically between two blokes in professional positions. Like I said on the last video, bang your heads together and say, "Oh, we're going to make this work," or "We're not." And if we're not, one of us, we're going to have to go. We can't do this. And that's basically where they are. They either have to make it work. They're either going to make it work or they're not. And I don't know whether they will. I've got grave doubts whether they will. I really hope they do, because I think you've got, in many ways, one of the best in class on a training pitch in Eddie Howe.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's got the proven track record of that now, taking the team from 19th to the Champions League, and really doing reasonably well last season, although it didn't end well. Doing reasonably well to finish where they did, considering the circumstances. And then you've got to, if you mentioned it to me this week, you said if you were to make a list of post takeover, who make a list of sporting directors you would potentially choose, you would go, it would be something like Emanala, who went to Saudi anyway, who probably should have got the job in the eyes of PIF, as we've discussed in the Geordie journals in the past. They would have got the job, were it purely down to PIF. Edwards, who's back at Liverpool now, and then the other two names on your list would almost certainly be, with this idea of domestic based, would be Dan Ashworth and Paul Mitchell. So Newcastle have done one, they're going through another one. So you start to ask the question, it's going to have to work at some point, because if it doesn't, another sporting director see, wait there, I know Dan Ashworth, and we've criticised him for certain things, but he's a good operator, and he's operating at the level he is for a reason. If other sporting directors go, well, wait there, Dan couldn't make that work, and I know him, he's pretty good, and Paul was involved in a civil war and he couldn't make it work, I didn't think I'll stay well away from that football club, and it creates a real problem for me. This Paul Mitchell has to work. It has to work.
Yeah, I think it will work with him somehow, where that means changes elsewhere.
But I think he was right. Some of the stuff he said was wrong, some of the stuff he said was right. And the bit where I think he got really right was the not fit for purpose in the transfer theory. The idea is, this isn't about saying, look, there's a dog out there.
Probably a dog more than us.
No, the good Mike wouldn't have picked that one up.
It wouldn't have.
What was I saying? Where was I going with that? The dogs put us off.
We were talking about the fit for purpose, how Paul Mitchell in many ways was...
So the transfer strategy.
Yes,
transfer strategy was largely good. So you sign good players to put in a team. That is a good strategy. However, if you don't sell any players and you end up with a massive black hole in your finances, it's a bad strategy and it isn't working. So I get it. It didn't work. It didn't mean that they didn't sign good players, but all they did was accumulate players and not let anybody go and balance the books, which is an essential thing in a PSR world. So the transfer strategy was not fit for purpose. In my opinion, the targeting solely Premier League, British Premier League players is flawed. I don't think it's a good strategy, because you're paying a tax on English players and you end up paying more for the same level of player just because they've got that Premier League experience and because they're English. Thing is, you take a little bit more of a roll of the dice with a foreign player. You're taking somebody into a totally new environment. It is more of a risk, but you do tend to find better value. And Newcastle United aren't going to hit the top if all they target is fringe level England players. If they go for that, they're going to pay £60 million a pop, £50 million a pop. Even for players like Livermore and Howe, who are prospective future England internationals, you're paying 35 million, 25 million. You're paying big money for these players. There's got to be better value found. So in my opinion, that idea, it is flawed. Eddie Howe hit back today, by the sounds of it. You were in the press conference saying, hold me head up high, we've signed really good players. I actually don't think that's in doubt.
No.
I think they have signed really good players, but I think what Mitchell said was, you've overpaid for some of that and you have to target wider markets, because if you don't, you're going to end up paying the English tax continuously. And Newcastle United don't currently have the PSR headroom or the revenues coming to the football club to be able to do that. They're not Manchester City. They can't do that.
No,
so that's where I take the Mitchell and Howe thing to kind of I'm not saying I'm falling on Mitchell's side, but I do see a lot of logic in what he said.
I don't. You mentioned there. I don't think it's in doubt that they haven't signed good players, because they have. They've recruited very, very well, but then that can't be right, because no football club should ever be in a position where, with 48 hours ago, they need to offload two of their youngest talents to comply with Premier League profitability and sustainability rules and avoid a points deduction. That's not a good strategy, and that can't happen again. And I think that's another thing Paul Mitchell was sort of in that. And Eddie Howe will agree with this, but Newcastle can't go right. We'll solve the PSR issue. That time, 3 years time, right? We might have to do it again. We might have another black hole deal with then. But you can't operate like that.
Not necessarily 3 years. It could be again next year.
Well,
if you spend badly, it's a yearly rolling thing. It'll be next summer where it's like, we need to sell somebody now. We need to sell somebody in 2 years. It's a continuous thing that if your 3-year rolling cycle doesn't fit, that summer you're gonna have to sell. So that 3rd year has dropped off, and all of a sudden it's gonna look slightly better now because of not spending any money this summer.
We spoke about, I think it was yesterday over a pint in Wetherspoons, where Newcastle's squad, in terms of the difference between the top and the middle and the bottom, is quite stark.
Massive.
And I think
we're in the Ritz, weren't we?
Yes.
Ritz on Wallsend High Street.
So Newcastle in many ways have been taken over by the Public Investment Fund. They've tried to get as many top class players as possible to try and get the squad up to speed, because look, we all knew what the squad was like prior to PIF and Eddie Howe's arrival. There was players there who were on long-term contracts who looked at the end of careers at that point anyway. A lot of them now don't play for the club, or a lot of them are still here, like an Isaac Hayden, no disrespect to him for example, but there was a lot of players there that they need to move on and need to get the squad up to scratch, and they've done that by spending big fees. But then now you're left with a situation where you've got 3 players who are
3 absolute crown jewels,
absolute unsellables, and Anthony Gordon, Alexander Isak and Bruno Guimaraes. You could possibly include Sven Botman in there when fit, if he gets back up to speed whenever. And below that, and I used the example on the Shots TV video, if you do watch that as well, which you should,
channel
262
on Freeview.
Are you testing us there?
Yeah, I knew this one. This one sticks.
But then you look at what Liverpool did this summer. Yeah, the sun's shining on. You look at what Liverpool done this summer by they sell 2 £25 million players in Fabio Carvalho and Sepp van der Berg to Brentford. No, they're both Brentford. Anyway, that's my knowledge.
Carvalho, where did he
Carvalho was Brentford.
Aye.
I think Sepp van der Berg was Brentford as well. I think so. Oh, yeah. Anyway.
I lost track. I was so depressed at the end of the transfer window. I just lost track of anything anybody else was doing.
That's Liverpool there, selling 2 players that one was on loan at Hull last season, the other I think was on loan or wasn't in Liverpool's squad, whatever. £25 million. Newcastle don't have any players they can just go and sell for £25
10
million.
10 to 15 for Bobby Clark as well. There's £60 million in the bank.
And that's where this transfer strategy falls short. And I'll caveat the fact that Newcastle had to get the squad up to speed as soon as possible, and they had to go out and sign good players. But it's came a full circle where they've been left with players that they physically can't move on, or if they can move on, they'll not demand fees that Liverpool have in the transfer window. So that's where, when Paul Mitchell talks about not being fit for purpose, I actually get it. And I get Eddie Howe saying he's very proud of the players that he signed, because they are good players. But ultimately they were left in a situation in June where they had to go and sell players, and look, the Elliot Anderson, obviously his Vakademos trade-off, in many ways it's £35 million for Anderson to say it wasn't that.
Well, we've known that for ages. Yeah. It's almost been like the unwritten, unsaid thing that we knew it was a £20 million deal for Vakademos, but it was a necessary evil. They had to do the deal. They wouldn't have got Forest to, on their books, put down £35 million for Elliot Anderson unless Newcastle gave them 20 back for Vakademos, which essentially values Elliot Anderson at 15 million, which they might regret. Look, it's a necessary evil. It's a sad one for me, and I always said that it would be a sad one, because I see a lot that I've always seen a lot that I like in Elliot Anderson. Anybody regular watches on here, I'll always say that. Always know that I've said that. I think he lacks the final third quality at Premier League level at the moment, but plenty of room for improvement. He might actually turn into the type of player that we suggested and Eddie Howe didn't like, the Joe Linton light. That he's got that physicality and graft and aggression. He's got more quality on the ball than Joe Linton, there's no doubt of that, but does not score the goals that Joe Linton does, not even close, and doesn't get in the positions that he does. So needs to improve in that respect. But anyway, going off on caveats, Newcastle don't have that, like you say. There is 3 at the top. I would still argue there's 2 at the top and Gordon slightly below the 2, but there's 3. There's 3. Then there's quite a drop off to unproven Tonali, and I know that might cause controversy out there, but he is still at Newcastle United unproven Sandro Tonali. We don't know what level he's going to fit in at. I don't. I had somebody on Twitter having a go at us the other day saying world class. I've not seen world class, and until I've seen a world class performance from Sandro Tonali in black and white,
you've probably seen that once against Villa.
It wasn't world class, but he was good. He was good. He was a good player.
Yeah, no one can sit here and say that Sandro Tonali is in the top 4 players at Newcastle United. That may well be true in terms of value, obviously, but in performances, and obviously the 10-month ban, the the performances before his 10-month ban, where let's be honest, he wasn't very convincing. He's still got a lot of proof in black and white.
Howe and Livramento bring the levels up in terms of where you think, but that's still a lot of their value is on future development, isn't it? It's not on now.
So we're talking about PSO, etc. And last summer they didn't. I mean, I love both players. Livramento is brilliant. Lewis Hall, I think, has gradually improved.
I've said I think, but because of his technical ability, I think he's got a little bit of a higher ceiling as well.
But then you had two players there where really, and that there was a reported £28 million initial fee for Hall on this summer's finances, and then Team Livramento £32 million. That's a lot of money on two players you didn't necessarily.
Who didn't improve your first team.
Yeah, and you didn't necessarily need, or okay, maybe needed for 2 years' time, but then in terms of right then, right now, didn't need them, and that's where another thing I think the transfer strategy's fallen short. Where I get signing players for the future, but then remember they had a Champions League campaign to look forward to as well. They need to go out and sign essentially starters. Didn't do that. They're under a tight budget. They went out and signed 2 players with promise, which I don't blame them for doing that. But when you're under financial restrictions, you need to be clever with your money.
Yeah.
And
it wasn't clever.
It wasn't clever.
It's actually, we knew it would probably be clever in the medium to long term, but it was never going to satisfy short-term needs. And they needed to do a little bit of both, really, rather than all one and not the other. Harvey Barnes was maybe the one they thought would satisfy some short-term, and he didn't, because he got injured for most of the season. So, and that was one that didn't make sense. I think they massively overpaid for him. I actually think, there's been a lot of debate about who did Paul Mitchell mean about the overpaying, and we've both got different opinions. I think I was speaking to my dad about this, and he's certain it was Harvey Barnes. I actually do think they overpaid for Harvey Barnes for the level of player, and I like him. And I think he's actually having his best little run of form for Newcastle United, and he almost guarantees goals when he plays. If he's consistently playing, he's probably going to get you double figures, you'd imagine, for a full season. But in terms of ability, like he was a little bit cheaper than Anthony Gordon, and there's light years between the two of them. There genuinely is, and age difference, light years as well. He's much older. It did make sense.
So you paid £30 million for Barnes. You're not going to get that back from him. And if you were to sell Harvey Barnes tomorrow, where would he end up?
You wouldn't go higher, would you?
Yeah,
so that keeps you where you are, those type of signings, doesn't it? It doesn't take you forward.
Whereas at least with, like, you would say for like Lewis Hall and Tina Memento, touch wood, they'll be athletic, but maybe could, I'm using Man City's example, but go maybe a right back. Tina Livramento's informed, they've got that age and potential where you could be picked off by a big club. Hopefully that doesn't happen, because Newcastle want to be up there and should hopefully be up there. PSR dependent in the next couple of years, but yeah, Barnes for me has sort of, you paid a premium there for a player that's value won't increase, and a player that probably won't go higher than the level he's at now.
The other two that I thought was Tonali, and I thought it could have potentially been him he was referencing, and I'm 1000% certain if he was only referencing one deal, the one he was talking about was the one they didn't do. I think he was specifically talking about Mark Gay. You don't sign. We're not in a position where you can go and sign ready-made players at the peak of their powers. That's essentially exactly what Mark Gay is, coming off the back of the summer that he had. His value in his career I can't say for definite. It'll never be higher with it. He's never going to command that fee.
No. Palace might try and hold the own in this January, for example. Newcastle went back in and say 70 million. There's no chance any team's paying that. I always said, and this might be a controversial view, many of you might agree, but I don't think Mark Gay is probably more than 45 million pound in value.
Another controversial opinion, he had a really good summer with England. I think it was the quarter-final. Gareth Southgate, do we still mention his name? Gareth Southgate brought in Ezri Konsa, and Ezri Konsa played better in that game than Mark Gay did in any other point in the tournament. I thought it was a quarter.
Was it?
Might have been a semi.
It's Netherlands, I think. I think it was a.
Was it the semi?
I think so.
He was brilliant.
Yeah. No, he was.
He was brilliant. What do you value Ezri Konsa? If Newcastle want to try and sign Ezri Konsa, ask yourselves this: what do you value Ezri Konsa? He's a £40 million player.
Yeah.
That's what Mark Gay is.
Yeah.
He's no more, no less.
Yeah. Agreed.
If you want to push it, and you really want to go to 50, not 70. 70 is just pouring money down the drain.
It would have been high, and then you talk about PSO and stuff. How can you?
Newcastle United are not in a position to weigh that transfer budget up the wall.
No.
It's a family show. I've got to.
Good on a beep.
You can still beep it and pretend that I said.
Yeah. Beep. I'll beep that.
You're gonna have to beep that now.
I'll forget. I'll go away now and totally forget you've just done that. And I'll just beat it in the video.
Yeah, nobody will watch the video because YouTube will strike it.
Yeah.
Well, right. I feel like we've done. This is probably. I didn't want this, nor did you want this to be a video on the Civil War.
No, kind of helpless.
Civil War, but like realistically, it's probably gonna be.
I don't think it's finished. And look, I covered at the start that you guys are sick of hearing about it, where many ways sick of talking about it, but it is a problem. I don't think the problem is close to being sorted, mate. I don't know. It's still rumbling on. That's the only thing I can say. And there's still obviously a power dynamic behind the scenes that's still being discussed. I think the best thing for all parties is to get Eddie Howe and Paul Mitchell together. Darren Eales, he used the term "bang their heads together," and let's just say, look,
Darren Eales' job.
Let's make this work. You called it at the start there. And Paul Mitchell, you've got a sporting director that most teams would take because of his track record, and you've got a coach there, Eddie Howe, who has proven throughout his time at Newcastle United can transform players' career. So if you marry that together, it's a deadly partnership. But can deadly partnerships always work? Because you have two people there who, right or wrongly, you probably have egos. Eddie Howe's done a great job. I feel he's done a great job, and he has over the time he's been Newcastle United manager. Paul Mitchell feels he's done a great job because of the recruitment work he's done at Tottenham, Southampton, Monaco, RB Leipzig. So if we just get them two people to work and come together, then as I say there, and you said it as well, Newcastle will have a perfect dream team setup, whatever you want to call it.
So all comes back round to the chief executive. Chief executive, you've got all the chess pieces, but can you play chess? That's the important thing. I used to be able to. Honestly, I probably still could if you put a board in front of us.
No,
but
I couldn't. No.
Do you not used to do it on the computer?
On the old Microsoft.
Yeah,
computers.
the old Microsoft. The older viewers. We'll have an old audience. They'll know what I'm talking about. Right. Minesweeper. That used to be one as well. Do you know that one?
Do you remember pinball as well?
Yeah.
There was a pinball one which is unbelievable.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
You used to ping it around. That was good. It was really good.
So yeah, I was young enough to have a Microsoft computer.
Yeah.
I think internet was just coming about actually when I was sort of 11 or 12, maybe. Anyway, we're good. Civil Wars and pinball on the computer.
We still produce these videos on them?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Don does his thumbnails on Paint.
Hey, there's a joke for the designers out there. He doesn't. What does he do on?
Photoshop. Adobe Photoshop.
Adobe Photoshop. I'll do praise Don for those. I like those thumbnails. At least he brings something to the table. He'll like that when I watch that. That'll make him laugh. While he's lying on a sunbed.
Yeah.
I managed to get him a little holiday through TUI, and he's enjoying himself.
Yeah. Me next.
You're next in line. I've got to get Jordan one. I've been to Egypt. Dom's got to Greece. Where are you going? Butlins.
Blackpool.
Blackpool was an offer actually. The perks of journalism. Honestly, first world problems.
Yeah,
Can I get Jordan a free holiday? Right, I'm going to run through the sponsors before I talk a little bit more about something else, totally different topic. But realistically, I'm sorry, but the video is going to be titled on what we've just talked about for the last 25 minutes. Like it or loathe it, that's just the fact. And we'll try and draw a line under it, but we can't promise that it won't spring up again. 4 Rivers Financial Planning, be possibly in one of the corners. All the details will definitely be down below. If you've got any pension, any pension advice, etc., do give them a shout. Right, what else was that to come for the press conference? My big one's Callum Wilson.
Yes. So I've got back my notes here because, as I say, I'm a very forgetful man at times. So, yeah, Callum Wilson hasn't had a setback, but is behind where we wanted him to be, was the quote from Eddie Howe.
So the semantics of that are, he hasn't had a setback, but he's not coming back at the time that we want him to. It's like
it's been U-turn after U-turn, shall we say, with Callum Wilson, where it was,
he said he'd be back for Tottenham, didn't he?
Yeah.
You thought?
It was quote by Eddie Howe saying, we hope to get him back a couple of games into the season. Didn't happen. Now, it was definitely won't be back for international break, and now it was no time scale, but we'll hope to get him back in the coming weeks. So vague, no idea. So when will Callum Wilson return? who knows? Which it's I know they've got Willis now as a backup, which can take the pressure off Callum Wilson, but it puts Alexander Isak under so much pressure as well. I think they're almost in a position now where
he gets injured, but
they have to get him through the next 2 Premier League games, and they're probably going to have to rest him against Wimbledon if Callum Wilson isn't back.
They should. They have to. He's went away international as well.
Yeah.
He could have been like one of them ones where you didn't want him to go away, but obviously he had to. Had a really good international break as well. Among many others, apart from my captain, like he had a bit of a disaster.
I know. Yeah. It's I was looking at Brazil media, Tim Vickery, where there's huge criticism on Bruno in Brazil.
Yeah.
Because I remember it was a quote a few months ago from Ronaldinho was saying this is the worst Brazil team.
But it is, I think.
It is. But it sounds like Bruno's taking the biggest flack for it. But I think I think it was a tough one because you got hooked at half time against Paraguay, got beat off Paraguay, which is probably unheard of. Miguel Almiron's Paraguay beating Brazil.
Historic result.
Yeah. And then it was a tough. I'd imagine it was tough for him getting hooked at half time, but the good thing about Bruno when he comes back, he gets all the love in the world, and I'm sure he'll quickly forget about.
Yeah, he fits very well in Newcastle's team, but you can imagine why he might be a target of the Brazilian boo boys.
Yeah,
they've
got to target someone.
His lack of dynamism does make him stand out when things aren't going well.
Well, look at even the start of the season where Bruno, let's be honest, hasn't played his best football, but has been that guy who just came into games at the end of it when he's saying out a game and he's chased everything down and his defensive work's been excellent. So I suppose there's got to be a scapegoat somewhere. It sounds like Bruno's getting the flack, but he wouldn't be without him here. He could be the worst player in the world and he's still getting Newcastle starting 11.
He has a bad day and he's still a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, exactly. He never dips below that. Rarely dips below that.
Yeah. And that was the point I was making on Twitter this week and got a bit of a slaughtering off some people for. Is that I love Joe Linton. You'll struggle to find somebody in the North East press park who shouted from the rooftops as much about Joe Linton. I remember if you look back in the Newcastle world.
You wrote a love letter.
I wrote a love letter to Joe Linton before it was popular and trendy to think he was a good player.
Yeah.
That I tracked his emergence, and when I first seen signs that there is a right player there potentially, back to a real bore draw against Sam Allardyce's West Brom under Steve Bruce, and he played up front that day, and I can't remember who it was. He gave their centre half to torrid time. Then we played Aston Villa very soon after, and Tyrone Mings didn't know what day it was.
Yeah.
He gave him a right running around. He's had a few. He's had Callum Wilson's done him a couple of times as well. Anyway, so I think. Where was I going with that? I've done it again.
We're going to go into midfield.
Yeah.
Tonali.
A little bit. I was just going to say about Tonali coming back in the team potentially. Could it be for Bruno with that little knock that he?
Was it a knock?
I don't know if people are making it
Eddie
up.
Howe said
he said he's
okay.
He
was fine. Yeah.
Was he asked, is he injured?
Yeah. So he said, Bruno came off half time. Is he all right?
Yeah.
Said, I think he was talking about probably a mental thing more than physical, where it's like mentally he had to get over the disappointment of being hooked at half time for his country.
Can't do without him.
No. So I think this might age terribly, but I'm pretty sure by the comments from Eddie Howe Bruno was fine. Yeah.
What did you think about Joe Willock?
Very vague again. Very vague from Eddie Howe. It was just positive signs from Joe Willock. Has trained this week but not fully. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised he was on the bench for Wolves, to be honest, with Eddie Howe's track record. But
it's hard to tell, isn't it?
Yeah, but we can rule him out with start 11.
He said he hadn't. Did he say he hadn't trained with the group yet? He'd been training alone.
But said they'd seen him. He's been training, which is good, but he hadn't trained fully.
But he could train today.
Yeah, exactly.
So like,
he's done that before. I remember it was one last year. I think it might be Gordon or something. No, he hasn't trained this week. And was like, I didn't actually. I was one of the ones that didn't rule Anthony Gordon out. I can't remember what game it was now. Pat on the back for me there. Where he was so vague Eddie out to the point where people thought Anthony Gordon was missing, and then he ended up in the start 11. I can't remember which game it was now, but it was the back end of last season. So that's just summing up how. And you guys will see the press conference. Eddie Howe gives nothing away on injuries, which is never good. When I did ask about 2 injured players today as well, in Lewis Miley and Emil Croft. Lewis Miley back on the grass, on track for the initial 3-month recovery time frame he had.
What do you reckon that puts him at? You worked it out?
It'll be July, August.
That can't be far away then.
Back end of September, early October. I'd make that. Emil Croft's fine, but for me, and I sort of
He goes on the bench anyway, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Eddie Howe spoke about, and I asked Eddie Howe, as good as Emil Kraft's been, how much have you missed Fabian Schär's passing ability, just ability on the ball? And yeah, Eddie Howe sort of, although he waxed it about Emil Kraft, I think part of the reason why Newcastle haven't retained as much possession in the early weeks of the season is because they haven't had the ball playing centre half.
Yeah, he's done his defensive work really well. You can't really fault him
No,
to come in
absolutely
and have done the job that he's done. But he's of a certain level, and Fabian Schär ups that level.
Yeah.
And that's the same argument. I mean, maybe I'm contradicting myself that I was saying for keeping Sean Longstaff in the team. I don't think Sean Longstaff deserves to be dropped. Does Emil Kraft deserve to be dropped? I would argue yes, because he doesn't give you certain elements. I think Sean Longstaff's graft does give you elements in midfield. I just don't think Tonali comes in.
I don't think he does either.
I'm not saying I don't think Tonali might be a better player. I would actually argue Sean Longstaff's been a better player for Newcastle. So this is gonna. People are gonna slaughter me again. But Sean Longstaff's put in better performances consistently for Newcastle United than we haven't seen it from Tonali yet. We're actually just basing the idea. It's an idea and a dream of Tonali rather than an actual performance. Yeah, but until he's in, we won't know.
Do you not think Longstaff actually gets better when he knows Tonali's breathing down his neck?
Maybe, yeah.
Because Tonali was back, and he came for the Nottingham Forest game. Sean Longstaff came on, and he was pinging. He was pinging balls. He was cross-field balls. Scored a penalty.
Changed the game when he came on.
And then
Tim Barnes and Livermore on that right-hand side suddenly started creating chances.
And then even against Spurs, I thought he was very, very unlucky to come off. He didn't really do much wrong. So I would say if you look at your perfect midfield three, because of the dream and because of Tonali being Italian international, whatever, and the fee they paid for him, you would put Tonali in by default. Still got a lot to prove, I would say. And then you would have probably Bruno and Joe Linton. I think most fans would say that would be their dream three. But Tonali's got a lot to prove. Joe Linton, I would say, has contributed more to the season so far with a goal and an assist. But in terms of consistency, in terms of performance, Sean Longstaff, I agree with you, get battered for this. But I actually think Sean Longstaff had a better start to the season than Joe Linton, because Joe Linton's had more up and down performances, albeit he has also contributed more, I feel like, in terms of, well, has he? I mean, Sean Longstaff scored a winning penalty.
Yeah, but obviously Joe Linton's had that end of it wasn't an assist, was it? No, it was a pre-assist against. They opened the door against Tottenham.
But when he spun James Maddison.
Yeah, which was really good. And then obviously scored the crucial goal that got them a backs to the wall win against, undeserved in some ways, backs to the wall win against Southampton.
I think he's at his best though, Joe Linton.
Physical. You do, like, this isn't a massive criticism, but it's just a reality. You don't want Joe Linton in your midfield when you know you're going to have all the ball.
Yeah.
You want him further forward.
Yeah.
That's the thing I would say about Tonali, is anybody who saw any of those Italy games, I didn't see them in full, but I've seen bits. Tonali played a lot higher. Like,
is he on the left-hand side?
He was on the left-hand side.
Because that's when he got the assist.
They played like a 5, and he's like left hand. He was the left hand of the 3 in midfield, which is where Joe Linton plays.
Yeah.
So.
Could you swap them over? I don't know. Joe Linton's a left hand. Because in many ways his best performances Newcastle should have been on the left wing, but there's no chance he gets a game at left wing now because they've got two left wingers.
No, best time in Joe Linton's career was when him and Joe Willock were interchanging. The back end of that Champions League season, where they got to the Champions League, they were incredible, the pair of them.
Did it? Joe Linton was caught on the left hand side, and then they went up and signed another left winger after Anthony Gordon.
I think Anthony Gordon was signed as a right winger, but turns out he's a better left winger.
Yeah.
Now they've got knee right winger.
Yeah, I can't imagine Anthony Gordon will be too.
Anthony Gordon was one of England's best players in the 2 internationals, playing on the left-hand side. So what's Eddie Howe going to do? Put him on the right? I think it's bloody stupidity if he does.
Yeah, I think Anthony Gordon will get a bit sick of being playing on the right-hand side, because you put Anthony Gordon on the right, he's almost being sacrificed.
Yeah, you put Barnes on the right. I'm sorry, but
I think it's worth trying. You've tried Anthony Gordon on the right. Let's get Barnes on go on the right, and he looked good in that sort of final 15-20 minutes at the end of the Forest game. So.
Right, have we waffled enough? It's a long video,
I think, I mean, we've touched on all the points that I noted down.
I wanted to apologise to everybody, actually.
Okay.
I want to apologise to everybody because I made a point in a video. It was the Burnley. We're carried away we're drunk on the idea of getting back into Europe at Turf Moor, the back end of last season. And I made a claim saying I would do everything I could to keep Callum Wilson at the football club. I think I was wrong. I'm going to say that now. and I might be proved wrong again. I'd love to then apologise again in 3 months' time when Callum Wilson sneaks back into the team next week,
just keep
scores
apologising.
a hat full of goals.
Yeah.
I want to be able to apologise because I love him as a player, but it was a big mistake keeping him at the football club. Big mistake. He's got no sell-on value after this season, and he's provided nothing to the first team for quite some considerable time now.
Yeah, well, he had that injury before the new year, and then he got back first game, did his chest pectoral muscle, and then from then on it's been, I think even at the back end of last season he missed a couple of games because of a hamstring injury. It's I mean, we've spoken about this before. You've got a top class striker and Alexander Isak there who also can pick up injuries as well. You need that bit of support, that bit of rotation, and Callum Wilson hasn't offered Alexander Isak or his teammates any help whatsoever.
No.
And it's a big frustration because that's where you weigh it up, where you've got Callum Wilson, you've got a quality Premier League striker, but what's the point of having a quality Premier League striker when you can't get him on the pitch? It's I think when you're in relegation battles, you almost take it because you go, right, well, Callum Wilson's going to come back for 5 games and you know he's going to score goals that'll probably keep you up. Now it's different. They're at the top end of the table, and just Callum Wilson not being there is not good enough. And I feel sorry for Callum Wilson because I think the pectoral one particularly was a freak injury.
Wasn't it?
But it seems to be that now just
His body's
failing him.
It is.
It's failing him, which is a shame because Callum Wilson's he's at the training ground now. He's not going to be happy. He'll be disappointing himself. It's not his fault that he can't get on the pitch. It's not. I don't think he's doing it deliberately. You know what I mean? It's just. But it's a big frustration. In football is many ways a ruthless business, and yeah, he's a great striker when fit, but it's rarely ever fit, and that's a huge frustration, and it's been a frustration for a while now, and it just seems to be. Every time Eddie Howe gives an injury update on Callum Wilson, it seems to be 2 or 3 weeks after the original date.
He's always 2 or 3 weeks, every single time.
Because let's be honest, you probably come back and you'll probably pick up injury towards the end of the season as well. It's just one of them. It's a
I hope he doesn't.
cycle.
I hope he stays injury free, but you're just waiting for the next one.
Yeah, exactly. As I say, it's a really hard one because he's a good striker, but he's never fit. And
you're not fit. You're no use to anybody really if you're not fit.
No. But they've got Willis Sula's back up.
I think he's just a project. You know. I think he's just a.
That's one of them.
I think he's a season-long project. I don't think we'll see much of him at all.
No. When Wilson's fit, right or wrong, Willis Sula will not be on the bench.
Yeah. I think he's just a project where they see a lot of the raw materials. Where you look at him and say, can we fire him off next season? And say, oh, he's a decent player. They'll want to do a lot of learning with him. Lewis Hall was their project last season. Yeah. I think Willis Sula's their project is.
Yeah, that's fair. So, Paul Mitchell calls up performance players that come into the team and immediately strengthen it. Willis Sula is not a performance player.
This shadowing's. I think you've barely been able to see me on this video.
We can't really see the sun. I'll be blind off this point. Yeah. The sun's been in my eyes all.
Hopefully it's been recorded.
Yeah, it's been recorded. I don't know what the audio is, but we'll try.
Right, like, comment, share, subscribe. Always try and give you a little bit of insight into what we know and what we've heard. And Jordan's just been in there with Eddie Howe a matter of an hour ago. So I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. There's a thanks button down there if you want to donate to the channel. Of course, any money that we have stays in the channel. It had to pay for us to go to Germany, didn't it? Paid for us to go to Germany. Your Geordie Journo's money. Otherwise, you wouldn't have got that inside Eddie Howe's explosive video. So you can be rest assured that any money that does come into the channel through your views, through your donations, stays in the channel. And we thank every single one of you for ever getting involved in the channel, in the chat, in the comments, in the likes, whatever you do. And do like, comment, share, and subscribe this one. Click the bell if you love the Geordie Journo's content. Fingers crossed the audio has been okay, and fingers crossed the visual hasn't been too bad.
Maybe I'm just in the dark as well.
No, I think you're in the light.
I'm in the light.
Yeah.
The light's shining on
I'm
me.
casting darkness over this video. Right, we've had a laugh anyway.
Yeah.
And I hope you have too. And what we'll do is, we'll see you again on Sunday at Molineux, where we'll give you a video after the match on our thoughts on, hopefully, 3 points for Eddie Howe, Newcastle United and Paul Mitchell. Cheers, guys.